That's Mr. Spanarelli. Or that 1028.
How you doing, Mr. Servant?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's now 6:30. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission public hearing for Thursday, September the 3rd, 2020. And as customary, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'll ask Mr. Eliason, our attorney, to lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it. And as we start tonight, I always ask that if you have an electronic device or a telephone, that you either put it on vibrate or you turn it off so it will not interrupt our meeting. Sir, I'll now turn to you and ask for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Here.
Mr. Servon?
Here.
Mrs. Karcher?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Spinarelli?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 7 present, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. You all have the agenda in front of you, and I assume there's no changes to it, so I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servon?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spinarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 7 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
I thank you once again. We'll now get into the public hearing. And the first one on the public hearing tonight is actually application C-20-06. Applicants and owners is Damon and Valerie Collins, 333 Cypress Drive, Magnolia, Delaware, 19962. Present zoning district is RMH, residential manufactured home. Relationship to the growth zone is inside. Present use is residential. Proposed use, same with a home daycare, home occupation. Levy Court District, the 5th, Mr. Sweeney. School District, Caesar Rodney. Fire District, Magnolia. Area and location, 0.34 plus or minus acres on the east side of Cypress Drive, 115 feet from the Evergreen Road, further described as lot number 32 of the Cypress Gardens subdivision, south of Dover. Is there somebody here to represent? Please come to the microphone, give your name and address, and you will either be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Mr. Chairman, before we get to the applicant, I think Ms. Kiefer should read in the instructions.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't listed on the agenda tonight, hearing instructions. I did forget that myself, and I apologize for that. I've also been told by staff that our electronic display for the ones that are at home will not be showing anything at the home. WebEx is not working, and I apologize for skipping the instructions and public hearing introduction. So we'll go with that, ma'am. You can wait right there. It won't take that long. Sarah is very good at this.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the Regional Planning Commission. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. For anyone on the call to be recognized, please press *1. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following the hearing. For the applications before the commission, the chairman will introduce the application. Then the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Then those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed, but no decision will be made by the commission tonight. The commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday, September 10th at 6:30 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the applications heard tonight. All information of record will be considered, and a common vote of 4 members of the commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on August 14th, 2020 in the Delaware State News. And the Levy Court will hear these applications on Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 at 7 p.m. unless tabled by the Planning Commission or withdrawn prior to the Levy Court hearing. The Levy Court also meets in this room. Mr. Chairman.
I thank you very much. I guess being we took off, I forgot what we have to do. So I've allowed one mistake a night, I guess. So Ma'am, we'll now get back to your introduction, who you are, where you live, and we either swore or affirmed by our attorney.
Okay. My name is Valerie Collins. I live at 533 Cypress Drive in the Cypress Garden housing development, and I've been there a few years.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your presentation, what you want to do, and how you're going to do it.
Okay. Well, I've worked in childcare for over 20 years and plus some, starting as a teacher to currently as a center director over 2 centers. So I just moved into a home. I became a first-time home buyer, and I was like, well, I've been in this field for so long. I was like, I want to try doing this at home, retire from home, being my own boss, stop working for everyone else. And I've loved children. I've worked with them. I love to see them grow. I love to see how they learn. And I see all the ins and outs of childcare, of licensing, of Head Start performance standards. I know all of those things that goes in title for taking care of children. And I was like, well, I want to try a little bit smaller and work from home and just do my own home daycare. It wouldn't be a big one because I would like to turn my garage into it. And according to planning and zoning, I'm zoned for 9 children there. So it would be small and atmosphere. And where I live at, if you come into the Cypress Gardens and turn to the right, my house is the second house on the right. So it's gonna be a lot of traffic through the whole development. It's just gonna be as you walk in to the development. So it's not gonna be a lot of traffic flow. And I have more than like 6, I can put 6 cars comfortably in my driveway where there's 2, 2, and 2 where I live at.
For the record, what days of the week will you be operating, and what will your hours of operation be?
It'll be Monday through Friday, as early as 6:30, because I know a lot of people come work at 6:30 in the morning or have to be there early. So I'm thinking like a 6:30 to 5:30. And I know with like licensing and things like that, there's children that cannot be there over 10 hours. So I just want to make sure that those hours are available for those that work.
I thank you. Does commissioners have any questions for this applicant? Mr. Peterman?
How many children will you have?
According to planning and zoning, the areas that I was given, that I gave my application to, they said 9 children. But I would have to see what licensing says with that.
I didn't understand your number, ma'am.
9.
What the code allows, if I may, is 6 full-time, 3 before and after school. So it's 6 plus 3.
Did that answer your question, Mr.
Thank
Peterman?
you.
Yeah.
Any other commissioners have any questions? I thank you. Good
Okay.
presentation. Thank you very much. You did a fine job.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else here in favor of this application would like to speak?
I'm the only one here tonight.
Is there anybody else here? I have to ask anyway,
Oh.
for the record. Is there anybody else here for this application would like to speak? Thank you. You can sit down, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anybody opposed to this application would like to speak? Is there anybody opposed? Third and final call. Is there anybody opposed to this application? And online, do we have anybody? *1, I think it is. We have nobody online, so at this time, this application is done for tonight. We'll be bringing it up next week. Thank you for your presentation. Next on the agenda tonight is application C-20-07. Applicant and owners is Raymond W. and Lisa May Miller, 1337 Tower Road, Camden, Wyoming, Delaware, 19934. Present zoning district is AR, agricultural residential. Relationships to the growth zone, outside. Present use, residential. Proposed use, same with a farm machinery / equipment repair service. Levy Court District is the 6th, Mr. Howell. School District is Cesar Rodney. Fire District is Marydale. Area and location, 9.5 plus or minus acres on the west side of Tower Road, County Road 218, 426 feet from Westville Road, County Road 52, west of Wyoming. Is there somebody here to represent this application, please? Is there anybody online, star one, that are here to represent this application? Is there anybody else online that would like to represent this application? Please hit star one and you'll be able to talk. Is there anybody else here that is in favor of this application without being the applicant to present it? Anybody else here in favor of this application? Seeing none, is there anybody opposed to this application? Is there anybody opposed, marching through the application without any knowledge of the presentation? Anybody else opposed? We have anybody online, star one? Okay, go ahead, and I don't know, you'll have to find out if this is for or against, or is it the applicant?
Caller, whose number ends in 5596, you may proceed.
This is Raymond W. Miller, the applicant for C-20-07.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for being online. I need to have your name, and you've given me your name. I need to have your address, and you will either be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Okay. Name is Raymond W. Miller. My address is 1337 Tower Road in Camden, Delaware, 1934.
Mr. Miller, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
I affirm.
You may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead with your presentation. We're glad you're online.
I'm looking to start a farm machinery and equipment repair service out where I'm at now. Looking to possibly buy out an existing business and move it there. Yeah, I just want to work at home. Been checking my options out. I've been working with the planning and zoning to see about the I had a few can't think of the name of them. I had a couple of hearings before in July.
You're talking about the Board of Adjustment hearing that you had with the variances that we have in our paperwork, correct?
Paying for it, yeah, but the variances, yes. So I don't know if you have any of that paperwork in front of you, but basically I'm just looking to work at home, farm equipment and that kind of stuff. Be working, looking to put up a 4,500 square foot building with just maybe 1 or 2 employees, working hours from 7 to 4:30, and try to keep it so nothing can be seen from the road. Everything would be behind with a landscape buffer. Everything kind of enclosed. So people ride by the road. Everything looks nice from the road. It doesn't like an eyesore or whatever. So that's basically what I'm looking for. Be able to work at home, do a farm machinery equipment repair service there.
I don't know if you said it or not, but the days of the week that you're going to be working, I heard your hours.
Oh, Monday through Friday from 7 to 4:30, and then Saturday from 8 to 12.
Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pretty much your presentation?
I believe so. Don't really know that I have anything else that I think that's basically what I need to,
I see you got a pretty complete drawing. You must have done this drawing yourself. It looks very, very intense, and all the numbers are on there that we would customarily ask for. I assume you're going to be using the driveway that goes out to the road as the driveway for the business also, correct?
Yes, I actually have, I have it drawn up now that I was proposing to put in another driveway, but looking at it and measuring it, I don't think that's going to be feasible. I'm going to have to widen the one that I have now, the existing driveway, and just go in across so the drawing is not going to be exactly right as far as where I propose to put the driveway. So. Yeah.
Well, that'd probably be something you'll have to take up with DelDOT anyway when you get ready to get to the driveway.
I have to go out with that anyway, so.
Very good. Very good. We do have some commissioners that might have some questions, so I got Mr. Peterman. Go ahead with your question.
Mr. Miller, do you intend to retail, sell anything of equipment? Are you going to buy and fix up and sell, or are you just going to repair only?
I'm planning on repairing only. I don't plan on making it a business of buying and selling to, no. Just repairing what, yeah. I don't plan on going into that kind of, buying and selling and that kind of stuff, so.
Do you intend to have anything sitting out by the road for sale or anything like? Are you going to sell from up at your shop where it won't be on the edge of the road, where it won't be a eyesore to some people, possibly?
Yeah, if I was to sell something, I would probably advertise in the paper and just keep it in the back. If they want to come look at it, they can come look at it in the back. I don't want it out by the road. I don't need it sitting out there, so, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterman. Any other commissioners have any questions for Mr. Miller? Hold on, Mr. Miller. We have one of our commissioners, Mrs. Karcher, would like to question staff about something.
Looking at the requirements, it's supposed to be 200 feet from any property line and 300. So does the fact that this building is only 146 feet, but it's a building, so you would have that? Oh, he got the variance?
Granted from that
Okay,
standpoint.
never mind. I'm sorry. I read this days ago.
Is anybody else on the commission have any questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Miller. We've already asked about anybody else supporting it and any denial, and we have had none. So at this time, we're going to say this particular hearing on this particular application is done until next week. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Our next application is CS 20-20-07. County Line Investments is the applicant title. Applicant owner is County Line Investments, LLC, care of Danny Humphreys, 11533 Holly Tree Lane, Greenwood, Delaware, 19950. Engineer is Pernani Associates Incorporated, care of Alan Dector, P.E., 18072 Davidson Drive, Milton, Delaware, 19968. Zoning district is BG, general business. Comprehensive plan map designation is highway commercial. Relation to the growth zone, outside. Present use, equipment storage for farming activities. Proposed use, contractors establishment with storage yard. Water on-site well. Wastewater is on-site septic. Size of the site is 2.88 plus or minus acres. Size of the building is 6,023 square feet. Levy Court District is Mr. Howe. School District is Woodbridge. Fire District is Farmington, Station 47. Area and location is 2.88 plus or minus acres, located on the South DuPont Highway, approximately 1,874 feet south of Coverdale Lane and approximately 1,459 feet north of the Sussex County line south of Farmington. Is there somebody here to represent this application or online? We have somebody in the audience. Please come forward. Give us your name and your address, and you can be either sworn or affirmed.
My name is Danny Humphreys. Address is 11533 Holly Tree Lane, Greenwood, Delaware.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Proceed.
Go ahead, sir, with your presentation.
Okay. Don't have a really large presentation. I think everyone here is pretty familiar with the project. I will go through the staff recommendations real quick, which all, if I'm smart enough to understand everything, look fine to me. The first waiver request we had asked for was the sidewalks out front. It looks like it was approved to waive those. The buffer looks like it was a modified approval where we still need to put them, I believe they're, well, it's right there, which is also perfectly fine with me.
I do have a question while you're thinking about.
Sure.
The entrance is there with the curb and all, it's going to be utilized as is, or is DelDOT requiring some kind of changes, especially with a turn lane to it, being you only have a 10-foot shoulder?
They didn't require a turn lane. All they required was, it never had the top coat of pavement put on it, apparently, is what the guy that come out from DelDOT said. They're requiring a stop sign at the end coming out and the top coat of pavement. And after we put that on there, they gave us their letter of no objection until we do the work, obviously.
I saw that in a report about the hot mix being missing, so.
Yeah, I guess it was the top coat but never got put on years ago when it was the golf course.
Very good. Do you have anything else?
I do not. Everything, as far as all the staff recommendations, look fine with me. I'm happy to answer any questions. We're just trying to get the conditional use, to put the construction business there.
Yeah, because you were here a few months ago and did a fine presentation. I know you're here now again, so very good. Anybody on the commission have a question? Did you, Mr. Mills?
Yeah.
Let Mr. Mills go first. Go ahead, Mr. Mills.
Question I have, the tax number, when you pull the tax number up on this property, it says farmland preservation. Can somebody explain that?
I know that the farm that was in the back was farmland preservation. When we bought it, I don't know anything about the farmland. That's not anything that ever came up when we purchased the property or anything. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, because it's already zoned BG.
Correct.
And I don't think it would be in farm preservation. I don't know if that's an error or what.
It's what now?
It's already zoned BG, so I don't think it would be in farm preservation.
That section wouldn't be in farmland preservation then. It is. Back of the farm is farmland preservation. In other words, this tax number is a lot more acres than just this, where this building is sitting.
That would be the wrong tax number. The proper tax number should be, it's under 3 acres, 2.8, I believe it is.
I think we're pulling out the preservation map now to see where actually the preservation exists. You look on your screen, Mr. Mills, you'll see where I think there might be an error with prior, because it says AP also.
Yeah, as part of the previous farm, prior to that, that area was farm preservation. It likely never got changed in assessment once this parcel got cut off. So there's no danger of that being an issue for this application.
That answer your question, sir? Mr. Peterman, you have a question?
Yes, sir. What kind of equipment storage for farming activities? What kind of farming activities and storage you're going to have there?
Well, if everything goes through, it won't be farming, it'll be construction activity, once the conditional use goes through.
Yeah, you're looking at the present use. We're going to the proposed use, is what we're studying about.
Do contractors' establishment?
Correct. And so, I mean, the basic use will be vans coming in and out. It really won't be much equipment. There could be equipment once in a while, but it's usually on the job site. It'd just be a normal contractor's yard with vans. Will come there in the morning, meet guys that get in their vans, go to work.
And
That's what the yard.
For the record, we'll have to have your days of operation, hours of service.
Yeah, so our days of operation will be Monday through Friday. What I would like hours of service, I mean, we generally start at 6, and we're usually rolling back in the yard around 4:30. I don't know if there's, stipulations on that, but that's our normal business hours.
Number of days?
Monday through Friday.
Was staff aware of the court request for 6 a.m. to 4:30?
I don't believe I've ever been asked or told that. I don't
remember seeing it in our report either.
I don't know. I don't think it's been discussed. I don't believe.
The governing ordinance unless it's specific for this use, and it doesn't appear to be, the governing ordinance would be the noise ordinance. So I wouldn't anticipate issues.
What might that be?
I'm sorry?
What are the hours for noise in that area?
It's by zoning. But, you know, certainly in a typical residential area, you couldn't start business until 7 a.m. But it's a BG zoned parcel that's not near a
Humphreys,
whole lot.
that was Mr. Servon, who's also a commissioner, and he's
Yes.
on the phone.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry, I didn't identify myself.
No problem. We got you covered.
I did want to ask if there are residences nearby that are in, you know, within distance of any noises from manufacturing or construction.
It's a fairly rural area, so I wouldn't anticipate issues there.
The property on
So there's no residences in those lots?
There are definitely some houses in the area. There are no major subdivisions.
Right. I'm just talking about the houses that are near there.
There's some houses across the road, the property to the left and the right. One of my partners, which owns the property with me, actually owns that. It's farmland. All the people that were, I think there was around 50 that signed when we came in looking for the zoning change. All the people from across the road and probably pushing a half a mile each way on both sides of the road signed in favor of this.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Any other commissioners have any more questions? I thank you for your presentation, sir.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. Is there anybody else here that supports this application, would like to speak? Third and final call, is there anybody else here that supports this application and would like to speak? Do we have anybody on the phone? *1 would like to speak in favor of this application. Seeing none for in favor, I will now go to the opposition. Is there anybody here that's opposed to this application, either in the audience or on the line? *1, you can talk. Second call, is there anybody opposed to this application? Third and final call, is there any opposition to this application? If not, then this application is done for tonight, and we'll look forward to you for be here next week. Our next application tonight is ordinance number and application number and name is LC 20-05/CZ-20-02, Bay Road Properties, LLC. Applicant owner is Bay Road Properties, LLC. Attention, Brian Sherry. 119 Lakefront Drive, Dover, Delaware, 19904. Engineer, Landmark Science and Engineering. Attention to Ted C. Williams, P.E., 200 Continental Drive, Suite number 400, Newark, Delaware, 19713. Planning Zoning Comprehensive Plan Map Designation is AC, Agriculture Conservation Low Density Residential, and also split zoning with BG, General Business Highway Commercial. Proposed Zoning Comprehensive Plan Map Designation is BG, General Business, Highway, Commercial. Relation to the growth zone is outside. Total site area is 18.56 acres. Area of request for zoning is 12.03 acres. Levy Court District is the 4th District, Mr. Buxton. School District is Milford. Fire District is Frederica, Station 49. Area and location is 18.56 plus or minus acres. Area of petition is 12.03 plus or minus acres, located on the east side of Bay Road, approximately 2,550 feet north of Spring Hill Drive, and approximately 5,738 feet south of Old Milford Neck Road, north of Milford. Is there somebody here to represent this application? Please come forward, give us your name and address. Be either sworn or affirmed, unless you're an attorney.
Thank you. My name is Brian Shirey from Seaford, Delaware.
Mr. Shirey is a Delaware lawyer. Proceed, sir.
Sorry, sir?
You're a Delaware lawyer. I don't have to swear you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you all for your time tonight. My name is Brian Shirey, and I'm here on behalf of Bay Road Properties. Also with me is our engineer, Ted Williams of Landmark Engineering, who can address any technical issues, and Chuck Spiegelman, a local commercial realtor and partner with the Commercial Moving Experience, who represents the party seeking to purchase the property, I believe is on the phone and can speak to his client's needs and availability, of suitable property in the area. I'd like to begin by noting that my parents operated a small business in Kent County known as Shirey's Auto Sales for over 40 years, the last 25 of which was from the subject property. Like many small business owners, they worked hard, they played by the rules, and they made contributions, positive contributions to their community. Also, like many small business owners, their primary retirement asset was their business property. My parents retired in 2017, mainly due to health issues on the part of my father. They would like to sell the property to fund their retirement, and we have been negotiating with the owner of an RV dealership who wants to purchase it. However, the amount of commercial property that currently exists on the parcel, which is only 277 feet deep, is too small for an RV dealership, which not only requires significantly more space to display and store inventory, but also to allow for up to a 40-foot vehicle to enter the property, maneuver, and exit without backing up. With my remaining time, I'd like to make 5 points in support of this application and in response to the staff recommendation report. The first involves a statement that the current inventory doesn't warrant an additional 12 acres of commercial zoning. While it may be true that there was approximately a total of 37 acres of vacant commercial land between Milford and Frederica, that number is made up of numerous small parcels like ours that are not big enough to accommodate an RV dealership and service facility. Number two, although not within the master plan, this is not a new commercial use. That's an important point to keep in mind. If rezoning were granted, it would merely be an expansion of an existing commercial use. As previously indicated, my parents operated a car lot, service facility, and associated storage on the property for over 25 years. And the current tenant is doing the same. The only difference would be that instead of cars that are being displayed and sold, it'll be RVs. And while RVs require more space for inventory, there will not be any additional changes to traffic, there won't be any additional noise, and there won't be any additional lighting. In addition, the use of the property as reclassified is consistent with the surrounding areas, which include an adjoining commercial use to the south, the existing commercial use on the front of the property, and commercial industrial uses across the highway. Number three, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the character of the surrounding area and well suited for commercial use. As noted by the planning department, the property is between two major Del Dot infrastructure improvements where commercial development is proposed or already taking place, from the development of Hertrick and IG Burton's facilities to the south, to the turf sports complex and proposed hotel and retail establishments to the north. Number four, all the infrastructure needed for the proposed use is either in existence or available. As previously stated, there will not be a material difference in the use of the property if the rezoning is granted. An on-site septic system is more than sufficient to meet the needs of the proposed use, and there is a sewer main in the median directly across the street from the property if needed. Any fire suppression needed for the new facility can be accomplished with a private well and a reservoir. And finally, the proposed rezoning will not create additional direct access points on Route 1 and will enhance public safety in the corridor by allowing inventory and structures to be located farther back from the highway, thereby increasing visibility for motorists attempting to enter or exit Route 1. I'd like to thank you for your attention. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Spiegelman to speak on behalf of his client, if he's available.
If he's on the phone, before we get to that, we'll take Mr. Davis's question first from you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shari. I do have a question. You're asking for 12 acres, but there's a total of 18. Does the 18 go up to the Gates property north of your site?
No. The 18 goes up to Ching LLC's property on the north of ours.
So you purchased, I know where your father's car lot is. I used to live on that property. I know it better than anybody, okay? So that used to be Daniger's Nursery at one time, many years ago.
Yes, sir.
And I know that your family had that car lot there. So it looks like you're going up into that area where they've been trying to sell it for a long time. But I'm curious as how come you're not getting the whole thing rezoned? You're only taking 12 of the 18.
Well,
Or
because
is the 12 part of the existing business also? I don't quite follow, because that's currently zoned, where the car lot is. That's currently zoned, is that correct?
that's correct. The 6
Okay.
acres across the front, 277 feet deep,
Right.
is already zoned BG.
Who owns the property? You say Chang owns it next to you, north of you?
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe they're putting a water tower for Frederica on that property.
So your property is going to be going back to the wooded area, because that was at one time part of that parcel. Are you going to be going into the woods?
There is
zoning.
a ditch running along the back of the property.
I'm familiar with this,
Yeah,
yes.
and there will be, the only woods we're going to be removing would be what's overgrown nursery stock right now. All that land, as you know, was cleared at one time. My parents bought the property back in '92, and then, of course, made improvements and used the existing commercial, and then the rest of the stuff just overgrew.
But, so I guess what I'm asking is the additional property you purchased, does that go all the way back to the wooded area in the back of the field?
It does, yeah. The property, the entire property was purchased at one time. I believe it was 2 parcels back then, 2 approximately 9-acre parcels. At some point, it was created to 1 parcel, but yes, it goes, as you can see, stretches back to the border of the woods there. And there's like a big ditch, as you're familiar with the property, that separates the open land from the wooded land, which I believe is owned by Mr. Webb.
Yeah, okay, 'cause I know up on the Ching property, you say he owns it. There's a deep well irrigation thing there. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was there when I was a young boy. But thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I guess you are aware that staff recommends denial.
Yes, sir.
On our report, and also on the plus report from Constance Highland of the Office of State Planning Coordination. And I read from her report, it is strongly recommended action on request to be denied on this county to develop a more comprehensive plan for the coordination with DelDOT. And I guess you've already got a copy of the plus plan also.
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to have that read into the record to make sure everybody understood where we were standing. Now, if you'll ask your whoever's online to go ahead and hit *1, they can give their name and address and be swore or affirmed. Unless I apologize, I didn't know you was an attorney.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
Yes. My name is Chuck Spiegelman. I live at 327 Lisa Court, Smyrna, Delaware, 19977.
Mr. Spiegelman, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you. Proceed.
Yes. Not going to be redundant with what Mr. Shirey said, so I do represent an RV dealer in the area who purchased the property, moved here from New Jersey approximately 5 years ago. He's done a very good business, and for approximately 4 years, the last 4 years, we've been researching expansion possibilities for him in the immediate area. He plans on building a new facility and keeping his old facility to rebuild. The new facility requires at least 12 acres to build a modern repair facility and showroom and room for storage of the RVs. We've talked to some of the landowners that have land for sale in the area. And as Mr. Shirey said earlier, most of that is slated for smaller retailers, which is really becomes unaffordable in the acreage that we're looking for my client's intended use. I know that the staff recommended it, but I know that that is a normal event when the project is outside the comprehensive plan. My client is planning, like I said, to build a large modern facility. He will add at least 10 new employees to this facility. And again, when he's in and operating, he will rebuild his existing facility and continue to utilize that as well. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Mr. Davis has a question.
Is this currently 2 parcels land, or has it been combined as one to date?
I think it's one parcel
am not
split zoning.
sure. I think, yeah, Mr. Shirey would be better to answer.
Okay, Mr. Shirey.
One parcel, sir.
It's currently one, it's been surveyed
sir.
as one parcel.
Yes, sir.
Right, thank you very much.
I have a question. Have you talked with DelDOT or had any conversation with DelDOT about what you're trying to do, or had any conversation at all with them?
Yes, sir. Yeah, at the Plus meeting, DelDOT was there. They had no issues with it. They did say that right now there are 2 entrances on the one part of the property. They would likely close it down to 1. And they also told us that they're going to be closing the U-turn median strip across, which is great because I think it's much safer to go down to Frederica, turn around and come back.
Yeah, it's just customary. I know a lot of this is in the paper reports that we get, but just for reading in the record, I'd like to have these certain questions answered. So,
Thank you, sir.
is anybody else on the commission or on the phone, as far as the commissioners, have any questions for either of these gentlemen? Anybody on the phone? Nobody? Mr. Davis again?
I'm sorry, I do have a question of staff. I know the county and Department of Transportation has been working on what we call a master plan to accommodate the Delaware turf. I guess my question is, does anyone know if this is going to encompass this area as far as that master plan? Because I know it's not completed and being a lot of work, so I'm kind of curious if the master plan is going to be going down to this location.
It will not.
It will not. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for these 2 gentlemen? If not, I thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And my next statement will be, is there anybody else here that supports this application would like to speak? Anybody else here that supports this application and would like to speak? Having seen none, I thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And we're done for the night with everybody in favor. I will now ask, is there anybody here that's opposed to this application can come to the mic? Anybody here that's opposed to this application, either in the audience or on the telephone? *1. Third and final call. Anybody else here opposed to this application? If not, then this application will resume next week, and we certainly thank you for your presentations. We now go down to our final application for the night, which is LC 20-08 Street Bonds. And what I'll do is just read the synopsis of it, and then I'll turn it over to Sarah to be able to answer any questions. The synopsis of it is, this ordinance modifies the requirements for street bonds and clarifies additional items for which bonds may be required. Bonds for streets dedicated to public use shall not be required to be filed with the county, although proof of surety filed with DelDOT shall be required. I guess I better go back to English class. Sarah, I'll now turn it over to you to explain what we're talking about here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly for as long as I can remember, the county has required developers to post bonds for public streets. It's on. Okay, hold on. The county has traditionally required bonds for public streets, right? DelDOT also has bonds for public streets. Most recently, one of the levy court commissioners convened a meeting with DelDOT and us and a local developer to discuss whether we actually need that redundancy. For years, DelDOT had said they prefer we keep collecting them because it helps supplement their bond if they need to go in and finish the streets. But at this most recent meeting, they've said that indeed they do not need the funds collected by the county. So the levy court wanted to pursue a change in the code. As one last check, we sent the ordinance over to DelDOT, the same folks we had met with. It went through their attorneys as well. You can see in your packet, they've requested some really minor language changes, but have no objection to the substance of the ordinance. So effectively, the county would continue collecting bonds on any infrastructure that we require, right? Any of the stuff that's required by our code. And certainly if someone does a private road in a major subdivision, we can require the bond. But for streets dedicated to public use that are going into state maintenance, we would no longer collect a bond for that. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's probably quite a savings then. I mean, on the average of a project, I don't know what kind of percentage that is, but it's going to be quite a savings, I would think.
It will definitely free developers cash up. And quite honestly, administratively, it makes it easier for us to argue that we need 150% surety for everything else you have to build that we're requiring. But we don't need your street bond.
So this would decrease it by what percentage of
It depends on the project, what it costs. We bond at 150% of the cost of construction.
Yes, I'm asking, what percent of all the things that come in front of you? What percent will this, by eliminating this, will you reduce it by?
Do you mean by work? Okay. In terms of administration, practically speaking, eliminating the street bond, it's, I don't know, a third, right? Because we still have to hold bonds on everything else.
Does any commissioners have any questions about this particular ordinance? Anybody online as far as commissioners? I'll now ask for public. Is there anybody here that supports this? Anybody here that supports this? Is anybody here? Thank you, staff. We have hands up for the staff. I appreciate that. Is there anybody on the phone that supports this? Nobody on the phone at all? Okay, so I'll just ask, is anybody against it? Is anybody against it? Is anybody against it? Seeing none, then this particular ordinance is closed for tonight, and we'll bring it up next week to vote on. Thank you. Now down to public comment. Seeing no public, I guess we have no public comment. Commissioner comments. I do want to say one thing. I've been in contact with Mr. Holmes this week. He's dealing with some pretty major health issues. I think Mr. Davis will confirm this. We just got to keep prayers and thoughts, and he's going through a lot of things. He's actually in a wheelchair most of the time, a lot of times when he's traveling. So keep him in your thoughts and all. Any other commissioners have any comments? Commission comment. We're going to get out of here before the storm. Any other business before the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Have a motion and a second. Go ahead, Sarah. Call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servan?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spanarelli? Mr. Spanarelli? Mr. Davis?
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes. Thank you all for coming. Let's get home before the storm.
Conference recording has stopped.